If sellers stop paying the buyer's agent's commission, I can see it having like a negative impact on first time home buyers. Pero también it's going to create another obstacles on top of the ones that we already have in the Latinx Latino community. And that's coming just as we're working so hard to catch up. Hola, welcome to the Money Chisme podcast. I am your host, Violeta, a first generation Mexican immigrant. I am a real estate investor and business owner. Pero let me tell you, just like other first gens, I was not taught much about personal finance. And I mean, needless to say, I was bien perdida. I was so lost and I struggled a lot in my personal finance journey. And that's why I created the Money Chisme podcast, where each week I bring you the chisme on how to manage and grow your money and other money talks to help you to kick ass with your finances. All right, so let's get into this week's Money Chisme. Hola, hola. Welcome to another episode of the Money Chisme podcast. And today, I want to talk about this lawsuit that I just recently heard about like a week ago. And I've been like looking it up and figuring out like, what is it talking about? And this lawsuit is threatening to change the world of real estate. So what's the deal with this lawsuit? Well, it included a lot of defendants like Anywhere, Remax, and NAR, and many others. NAR is like the National Association of Realtors, which is the main one. And the thing is that they are suing because they don't believe that the seller should be paying, the buyer's commission for their realtors. And the thing is that some of these MLSs require sellers in order to be able to list their house in their MLS, they have to offer commissions, right? Otherwise, the buyer's real estate agent's not going to, it's going to be less likely to suggest their property to their buyers. So the sellers are kind of like, why am I paying for their commission? And there's really no choice. Like, you're forcing me to pay them, and I really can't even negotiate the commission. Because otherwise, then I can't list my house for sale on your MLS, and then the agents aren't going to, suggest my property. Now, there's two lawsuits. One is the Sitzer Burnett case, and that one's set to go to trial this October 16. And then it is the Morel, I'm not sure if that's how you say it, versus the National Association of Realtors, known as NAR. But both basically have kind of the same idea of trying to, get rid of the seller paid commissions. So typically the way it kind of works when you are buying and selling is that most of the time the seller will pay your real estate agent, the buyer's real estate agent. They'll pay for that commission. And usually, like, the seller, let's say it's 6%. The seller's real estate agent is going to split that or give a portion of that to the buyer's real estate agent. And so this is known as seller paid commissions. And it's a typical practice every time I've purchased or sold. That's what's usually the norm. Now, this lawsuit is kind of trying to get that switched, which as a seller and, both a buyer, I could see both sides, and I've sold properties before, and it can eat into your earnings of when you sell your property. And especially if you're upside down on the house, meaning like you still owe more than what the house sells for, this can really put a strain in your finances, because now you have to not only pay your own real estate agent to list your property, but now you have to pay for the buyer's agent as well. Now, this lawsuit is already going to like put another hit on, realtors or real estate agents, because they're, I see it that they get kind of some hate because, people don't feel like they have that much value to pay them a commission. They don't see what they bring to the table, I guess, and they feel like they don't deserve to get that commission. But if you are the buyer, then this kind of like helps you out because now you don't have to worry about having to pay your real estate agent their commission. So that's one less cost for you and everything's already taken care of. However, if this lawsuit, the plaintiff wins it, like it could change the game to where now sellers aren't paying the commission for the buyer, and this can really affect not only first time home buyers, but I want to talk about how it could potentially affect the Latino Latinx community. So it's no secret that the Latino community, we are like behind on home ownership and building generational wealth, which a big way to build that wealth and that generational wealth is through owning real estate and passing that real estate to your children or whoever, and that's how you start building that generational wealth. And we fell behind because we just don't have the resources, lack of access, and things like redlining and laws and stuff that kept us from purchasing houses and stuff like that. And now that we are finally figuring it out, we are slowly starting to catch up, and we've actually been growing in home ownership, and we're starting to make leaps and bounds to kind of catch up to our white counterparts. So getting rid of seller paid commissions can really hurt the Latinx and Latino community because, one of the things is that not only do we have to, be able to get a loan and be able to like save up for a down payment and stuff like that. Now with getting rid of that, now we have to try to figure out, can we pay the commission for a real estate agent? So on top of the down payment, now you're going to have to add another cost of paying a real estate agent, and so that's might deter first time home buyers from getting one and being like, what, I'm just gonna go and try to find a house by myself, and that can be a disaster. Now, you may think that, who cares, real estate agents, don't do that much or whatever. But, for me, when I was a first time home buyer, the real estate agent did a lot because as a first generation Mexican immigrant, like I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I really relied on that real estate agent to guide me through the process because I had no clue. And, to figure out what could be wrong with the property, give me ideas, kind of basically guide me and, help me navigate the, negotiations, all the paperwork, explain things to me. Because when you get that loan documents and stuff, like the closing docs, like that's a lot of verbiage and a lot of freaking words, and it's so freaking thick that your real estate agent's going to help you figure that out, as well as the lender, obviously. But without the real estate agent, you put yourself at risk. And I know a lot of people don't see the value of a real estate agent, but to me, that's an expert. Like, obviously you have to make sure that you interview them and make sure you get a good one. Real estate agents, these are the experts of the market that you're trying to go into, whether it's an investment, if you just are looking for your first home or whatever, and they know those neighborhoods and stuff. And, to risk of doing this by yourself when it's such a big purchase, especially with these prices, like it's a lot of money to risk without having an expert there to guide you. On top of that, like not having a real estate agent because you choose not to put up that cost, you really put yourself in a vulnerable position to where, you can be lied to or exploited by the seller or, the lender or whatever it may be, because the real estate agent is going to advocate for your interests and, help you find the home that will work for you and, be an extra set of eyes. And, they are experienced again in that market. And you might go out there and see a property and be like, oh, wow, that's, under market. I'm going to get a good deal. But the real estate agent's going to probably know the reason why that property is being sold under the market price, because something may be wrong with it, and then that puts you at risk because you're thinking, oh my god, I'm getting a good deal. You go to the seller sees you don't have a real estate agent, you're a first time home buyer or whatever, and they might, be tempted to hide stuff from you and not realize that, what, the AC is, crap, or you're gonna need to put a whole new roof or whatever, because you don't know. This is the first time you're buying a house and you don't know what to look for, because like when I first bought my house, the first two ones, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't know what to look for or whatever. And now, I've learned, what to look for and stuff like that. But when you're first time home buyer, your real estate agent can keep you, be that barrier to help you not get taken advantage or buy something that could really mess you up and not really what you wanted. And even if it is the case that you do still want that property, your real estate agent is going to help you negotiate that to where you get, a better deal or fixes, or maybe a home warranty included to help protect you and, be that kind of soundboard to, help you make sure that, hey, are you sure you want to get this property? Because by yourself, you might be like, whatever, I can do this. And, then you get like screwed in the end. Now, if we get rid of the seller paid commissions, there's going to be less incentive for Latino buyers to go out there and try to, fulfill the American dream of, home ownership, because this is something else, like I was saying earlier, that they have to pay for. And, these commissions can really add up on top of having to save up that 5, 10, 20% down payment for a house. And that's very pricey with the way houses are now. The prices are way up there, the interest is up there, and then now you would have to pay your real estate agent's commission, which again, it is a percentage from the final sales price. And so that's going to be another obstacle, and really put home ownership further out of reach for some of those in the Latino community, which for the median price of, $250,000, and you have to do the 20% down payment, that's already 50 grand. And then having to pay the real estate agent on top of that, another 3-4%. So that's like almost another 10 grand. Like, it is a lot for those that are trying to buy their first home, on top of trying to like ensure that they can afford the home with the high interest rates and stuff like that. So, and that's not even including if you find that the property that you are trying to buy, sometimes the seller's not willing to pay for repairs. And if you still want that home and you want to pay for the repairs, that's on top of that as well. So it can really put home ownership out of, reach for Latinos. And this can be really shitty because we have the racial wage gap, and we have the home ownership gap in real estate. Like, and just as we were starting to get momentum and starting to get people in the Latino Latinx community to start going out there to buy houses, to get into real estate investing, like now you throw this and it could really kind of like set us back because, now we have the extra obstacle of money, which has always been an obstacle. And with the wage gap, we're like struggling as it is. So now we have to pay our own commissions. And, that makes us lose, our negotiation power and our professional representation. So all of that really can set us back. However, I do understand that we're not always going to be the buyer. At some point, we are going to have to also be the sellers. So, how do we kind of balance that out to where it doesn't set us back in the home buyer, like first time home buyers, but also doesn't kind of like screw us over when we do want to go sell our house and, are worried about paying those commissions for not only, ourselves, our listing agent, but the buyer's agent. And it's kind of like a tricky situation. And of course, this has sparked a big debate like on TikTok. I've been following it on TikTok, and you have debates, for and against it. Of course, you have some real estate agents for it, and first time home buyers for it. But then on the other side, you have like investors and sellers that are obviously going to be against it. And, like, where do we draw the line? How can we balance this? Now, for me, I can definitely see, the seller's point of view, having been a seller for myself, and one of the things that, kind of annoys sellers is that why am I going to pay for the buyer's agent, which that agent's help negotiate down the price? So now I'm paying someone to further push down the price of my home that I'm selling, and then paying you a commission on top of that. So that really kind of sounds shitty, of course. And then on top of that, you don't really get to negotiate because sometimes they have a set range of commission, and obviously you're going to want to pay the higher commission so that way you attract buyers agents and have a bigger pool of potential buyers. So there's no doubt that something has to kind of change to balance it out a little bit more and kind of make it fair for both sides. And because this is pretty much unregulated, which is why it's all over the place. And you have these kind of, quotation marks, forced seller paid commissions. But getting rid of it completely, of getting rid of seller paid commissions, is going to be a bigger issue in the grand scheme of things because, yeah, the seller's going to save some money by not paying the commission of the buyer's agent. But overall, like, it might have a more negative impact in the big scheme of things, like, making sure that we are still supporting the American dream of home ownership and making it accessible to everybody, including minorities, including the Latino community. So overall, there's really not like a clear answer to this. I really don't know how we can kind of make sure that it's kind of balanced, but whatever the solution is, they have to make sure that they keep equity in mind to make sure that we are continuing to narrow that housing ownership gap. Do y'all have any ideas of what we can do to kind of balance this out without, completely getting rid of the seller paid commissions? Because right now I can't really think about it, because in one way I'm like, if I was the seller, of course, it is a disadvantage to me, but when I go buy, then it benefits me, right? So it kind of like, to me, balances out as I'm a seller and buyer most of the time. So I, of course, always rely on the seller paid commissions for when I'm buying. Overall, we're just gonna have to wait and see how what happens with these lawsuits. Like I said, one of them is going to trial October 16. That's if they haven't settled by then, or haven't settled now as I'm recording this. But I guess we'll just see what happens. But other than that, that's pretty much it for this episode. Let me know what you think. Hit me up on my Instagram and let me know what you think about this lawsuit and the potential loss of seller paid commissions. But other than that, I will see you in the next episode. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and share so others may find this podcast. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can email me at info.moneychisme@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow me on all my social medias that are listed below. Hasta la próxima. Bye.